Hey, what's up? How's your day going? Your day going good? Awesome. Fantastic. So, if you're new here, my name is Zach, and this is a car channel, and I film car stuff. Unless it gets shut down by the police. So as we're approaching the end of April, the Northeast has finally realized that it's been spring for about a month now, and the weather is finally starting to get a little warmer. Which means that the car show season is going to get going soon. And so far it looks like May is going to be pretty stacked with events, so I should be pretty occupied for the next few weeks. So far this year I've only covered one event. It was just a small little pop-up meet held by Tuner Revolution up in York, PA. That's typically how it goes. In April, usually there's a couple shows here and there, and then by May, that's when it really starts getting going. That video is up. You should definitely go check it out. I'm really happy with the way it came out. So far it looks like the season is off to a pretty decent start. Sort of. As long as what happened at Atco Raceway last week for the Elite Tuner show doesn't keep happening. Last Sunday there was an event being held by Elite Tuner at Atco Raceway in New Jersey. And as I typically do when a car show comes around, I at least make an attempt to go and, do my thing, do photos and videos, and just chill and, have a good time. Business as usual. But that didn't really go as planned. So the event was supposed to open at 12, and I ended up getting there around like 12:30ish. When I was driving, I was approaching Jackson Road, which is the main road you take to actually get to the racetrack, and I noticed that it was shut. There were two Waterford Township police cars blocking the road. And as I got closer, I noticed to my right, there is a huge line of cars stopped on the shoulder. So I'm thinking, uh-oh, this can't be good. And the line just keeps going. There's like probably at least 20 cars parked up on the shoulder. And I see some of the cops out of their cars actually talking to some of the drivers. It sort of looks like some bull run shit going on. But it doesn't look like that anyone's actually getting any tickets. So I am extremely confused, and I decide to just stop and, ask some people, what's going on, and talk to some of the owners. And they're pretty much just as clueless. They're all pretty much just sitting there trying to figure out what to do next or find another route to the racetrack. There's really no easy way to get to Atco Raceway other than Jackson Road. So I ended up taking about a half-hour long detour because that's just how long it takes without going down Jackson Road to get to the racetrack. When I finally actually get to Atco, I'm greeted with more police cars and way more cars stopped on the side of the road. And everyone's just kind of sitting there chilling. It doesn't look like the track's open. Well, I drive up to the entrance pretty much knowing that this place is closed down, but I figured I might as well just see what's going on. One of the officers tells me that they are no longer letting people in because the venue is over capacity. So the event wasn't totally shut down. There's still an event going on. They just really weren't letting anyone in. Okay, COVID guidelines are still in place and venues are operating at lower capacities. Yeah, that can happen. But as I'm leaving, I'm thinking, the event's only been going on for like an hour or so. How could it possibly be at capacity already? Now, I'm not one of those people that denies that COVID-19 is a thing, I don't copy and paste 10-paragraph monologues on Facebook saying that it's a hoax. I do understand the importance of the guidelines, and if the event was really over capacity and it needed to be shut down, that would suck, but I really wouldn't have too much of an issue with it. Except it turns out that wasn't actually the reason. So now there's a problem. Apparently, according to both the owner of Atco Raceway and Elite Tuner themselves, they were going to cap the event at 3,000 people, which they say would have been in New Jersey's 30% capacity guidelines for venues such as stadiums and racetracks like Atco, which would normally hold 10,000 people. But the thing is, they say they were shut down at 1,100 people. So I'm not good at math, but that's below 3,000. So if that's really the case, then the state police really had no business shutting the event down. Apparently the police there were directing traffic, and then all of a sudden they just sort of shut down the gates and said that the event's over capacity. We're no longer letting people in, and pretty much everyone that was sitting there in line waiting for the event was told to just turn around and go home. So when word got out that it really wasn't over capacity, it left a lot of people pissed and puzzled and wondering why the event was actually shut down, and why the police were saying it was due to COVID restrictions even though that wasn't actually the case. Well, there's been a growing hypothesis that it was actually the residents of the town that complained about all the cars driving around and the traffic slowdowns being created by the cars waiting in line at the gate to get into the event. So if that is the actual reason why the event was shut down, one, that's very stupid. Two, that's not in the least bit shocking, honestly. The battle between racetracks and residents who clearly do not listen to their real estate agents has been going on for quite a few years now. And it's been a royal pain in the ass to the car scene because these people are basically rallying to get the racetrack shut down. As car enthusiasts, we sort of need those, so as you can imagine, we're really not okay with it. For some reason, people who are seeking to live in a quiet, peaceful environment have a habit of moving next to racetracks, and then complaining to the town because of the noise of the racetrack that they just moved next to. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't really stop there. Apparently, people who live next to the airport in Philly call the airport and complain about the noise from the airplanes. People really just do not think things through. And as far as the traffic goes, yes, it is an inconvenience, but it is a large venue, so when an event happens, traffic is sort of to be expected. I don't think it's really justification to shut the event down. And I mean, think about other types of events. There are people that live near Lincoln Financial Field, and I'm sure they get very annoyed when there's a football game and there's lots of traffic. But could you imagine what would happen if they shut down the gates to an Eagles game only like an hour after they opened them? The city would be on fire. That's just how things go down in Philly. There isn't anything that can't be solved with fire. And also, from what I understand, it was the police that were directing traffic, so after the entrance was shut down, there were apparently still complaints from residents because you now had a bunch of modified cars just driving around with nothing to do, as well as cars parked up on shoulders trying to figure out what to do or where to go next. And you had people posting up at parking lots and gas stations because the legal meet that they were trying to go to was just shut down. Something that people still don't seem to get is when you shut down a car meet, they don't just go home. They go wherever the fuck. I see videos of like races and meets like getting shut down by the police, and they never just go home. They always just go to a next spot, and they pretty much just keep doing that until they don't feel like doing it anymore. And when you abruptly shut down a sanctioned meet, clearly you can expect the same result. But what really gets me is that the only reason that they're having these pop-up meets or just driving around with nothing to do and making a bunch of noise is because people complain about the sanctioned event. Literally, the reason we have events like this is so we can enjoy our hobby legally and not bother anyone. And fortunately, we have a lot of events and a number of racetracks here in the Northeast, but unfortunately a lot of places around the country don't have those luxuries. If you're going to complain about our legal events, then I don't really know what to tell you. If they were able to attend the legal event they had intended to go to, then they wouldn't be having pop-up car meets or just driving around for hours. Real big brain hours over there. Yeah, this is a very confusing and controversial thing that went down, clearly. As of right now, there are a lot of fingers pointing to the reality that it might have been the town complaining that got the event shut down. But I don't know why they would say it was because of COVID. I mean, maybe the cops just didn't really know what else to say. Maybe there was some miscommunication between the officers on the ground and the station. Or maybe they were just straight up lying. I don't know, I couldn't tell you. But personally, I do find that scenario to be a pretty realistic one. Atco is in a town with some pretty apparent opinions on things, so maybe a bunch of modified foreign cars driving around triggered them a little bit. And the fact that this may have been what actually shut the event down is kind of concerning. This kind of stuff has been going on for a while, long before the COVID pandemic. And after everything goes back to normal and people are allowed to start having large-scale events again, there's going to be more cars and more complaints. And they're probably just going to find some other excuse to shut the track down like they were doing before the pandemic came. That's just something I thought people in the car community should be aware of that went down because, you know, I love going to car meets and races, and I'm sure pretty much everyone watching this loves going to car meets and races, and it would really suck if we had to start fighting people in order to keep doing that legally. When this stuff originally came out, obviously there was a lot of people blaming this on Elite Tuner, and personally I don't blame Elite Tuner for it at all. They said they had all the permits and permissions in order to host the event, and I really don't have any reason not to believe them on that because Elite Tuner has a long history of hosting events successfully and professionally. And also, these things are not cheap to host, so I really doubt they would just spend all that money just to have the event shut down because they didn't get the proper permits. That just doesn't make sense. I will link Elite Tuner's socials down below in the description so you can follow them for more information if you're interested. But yeah, I don't know, shit seems whack. Whack! So yeah, now that I went over that, I suppose that was the main topic of the video, more or less. Let's talk about what's going to be coming up for the car show season, for the next month at least. I decided somewhere along in the video that I think I just want to do the car show schedule on a month-by-month basis, because if I go through the entire schedule right now, we're going to be here for a while. So for the month of May, the first event I should be going to and filming, the one I should be at as I'm posting this right now, will be Import Face Off, also hosted at Atco, so hopefully the weather holds up, for one, and hopefully the police don't shut this down too. And then the following week, so this upcoming Saturday, Tuner Revolution will be hosting an event called The Setup in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It's supposed to be an indoor-outdoor event, so that should be pretty cool. And then the very next day, there's going to be an event in New Jersey hosted by Fresh Meat, and that should be pretty good. Fresh Meats has been around for quite a while, and they've hosted a lot of really good events in the past, and they just recently started hosting events again, and they came back really hard, so this should be a good one. And then on the 8th, there's going to be a show called Cars and Pins, hosted by None Like Mine, which I assume it's a car show at a bowling alley because there's bowling pins on the flyer. Probably going to be a pretty small meet, but regardless, I'm still going to have a video out of it, so should be pretty cool. And then on the 15th, Vorch Society will be hosting a show in Trenton, And then the very next day, Elite Touring will be hosting a show at Maple Grove Raceway called Import Revival. I think that's pretty much it for May. So one event tomorrow or today, whenever I'm posting this, and 2 doubles in a row. Alright, so yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do it. At the beginning of every month, I'm going to go over what the schedule is going to be, because it could change. You might have events added or taken off. Hopefully not taken off the schedule. Alright, I think we're pretty much good here. So I will see you guys next week with something, and until then, have yourself an awesome day. Alright, peace.